Hello and welcome back to another day of practicing with me. My name is Sarah and I play flute. I've recently graduated from university and I created this series called Practice With Me so that I stay on top of my practicing, because without this series I would not have picked up my flute in the past 3 weeks. So today on the agenda we are going to be practicing studies or etudes, whatever you want to call them, it's all the same thing. This is the study book I'm working on. I've been working on the 25 romantic etudes for the flute by Kohler. It says Opus 66. I like these etudes because they all have programmatic titles. For example, the first one is called The Swing, the second one is called Doll's Waltz. Even though these are studies, I do think some of these would even be appropriate to perform in a performance. It's always fun to just throw in some unaccompanied rep in there, or they're like a good backup to have if you don't have enough time for your playing exam or something. You'll have to talk with your own teacher about the rules of that. Basically today we're going to go over how I prepare my studies for lessons, and I don't have any more. So studies, always good to know. Good warm-up if you aren't feeling like doing long tones or scales or anything. Like just whipping out a study would be a good way to warm up too. The point of them is that they're trying to teach you something within the structure of a piece of music. For example, number 14 here is called double tonguing. Obviously it's trying to get the flautist to work on their double tonguing. That's what I used to warm up last week, as a quick way to warm up if you're in a pinch or if you're just lazy like me. Today I'm gonna be starting a new one. I will be sight reading it first. I will teach you the secret that my teacher taught me. And I think I'm gonna do some long tones anyways so that I can warm up for my warm-up. I should be working on my tone if I'm unhappy with my tone. And then we'll attack study 13 together, called Farewell. The whole book is available online as a PDF for free if you go to imslp.org. Even though it's available online, I bought this book because why not? And it was less than 15 Canadian dollars, so I'm sure it won't be too expensive for you to order if you want to. Am I the only one that long tones kicks your butt? If I practiced more consistently, it probably wouldn't. Of course, it also helps if you have something to practice for, like lessons. For me, it's this video. Let's jump right into it, shall we? This one here is in 6/8. There's kind of a middle section where there's a key change and it goes to 3/4. So this should be fun. Let's sight read it and then we'll talk about it a bit. And I'm not using a metronome to sight read. Since we have the programmatic titles, we can use that musical juice, So the parts that are in minor should be sad, and we should be thinking these two friends have to say goodbye because one of them is moving away. And then that middle part in the major there can be laughing and talking about the good times they had. And then we go back to the minor and they're driving away in the car and they're woo. Making up a story like that for your music might help you express what the melody is trying to say, or it might help you connect to the piece. You're going to need your pencil. My teacher taught me to divide my study into phrases. These are pretty simple pieces of music, so each phrase will likely be made up of 8 bars. I just like to number the phrases, so phrase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, and I'll just count in my music the bars, so I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and oh, would you look at that. It's the end of the phrase there. On the next bar, I'm gonna write 2, because that's the start of the second phrase. 3. This one's a bit longer, so like you can kind of tell from the music where the end of the phrase should be. Like the 8th bar of the 3rd phrase has like a bunch of 8th notes in it, when the next bar has a held note for the whole bar. Like it's more likely that the long held note is the end of the phrase. You guys know your music theory, I hope. And then other things like tempo marking and dynamics can even inform your phrase length. Okay, so I marked in 8 phrases. One of my phrases is 6 bars, and the following phrase to that is 10 bars. It averages out to 8. Like I said, just use your music theory brain and you'll be fine. Oops. I have 2 phrases marked as phrase 8, so I'll change the second one to 9. Why should you mark in your phrases? I think like studies are so short that rather than having like a whole section, it could just be a phrase that you're having trouble with. For example, I was struggling with phrase 7, where it has those arpeggios that start with a trill. I think that's where I was struggling the most with this study, so that's what I'm going to attack first. Just like we did last week with the trill and the sonata, I'm going to start with no trill and just play the arpeggios. Next, I might practice each trill on its own just to make sure I know what I'm doing. So all of them are marked as trills, but I might just play mordants because it just goes by so fast. So I'm going to play it once, no mordant, and then try the phrase again with the mordants. In that 7th phrase, in the last 2 bars, it becomes a mordant on every beat of the quarter note, and you can hear that I'm slowing down there. So I might finally put on my metronome here. I'm going to play it at 76. I'm feeling a little bit adventurous today. Those 2 bars where I'm playing the mordant on every beat, I'm going to try just doing the mordant. You'll see what I'm doing when I... I'm going to try the whole major section. I think it's also supposed to go a little bit faster, you know, again giving that like happy reminiscent energy where, you know, reminiscing on the good times before we say goodbye to our friend who's moving. So I'm gonna try and follow the articulation a bit more carefully and really try and make that musical intention come to life. Play it all at this slower speed. I might speed it up. I feel like this slow tempo might be holding back what I'm trying to do with the articulation. Maybe 84 will be better. My metronome is still saying andante, and this is supposed to be allegretto. My god, allegretto is like just over 100. A little bit faster still. 92. That time I was a bit more worried about the notes than I was about the musical character. I'm gonna try faster still, but this time, especially in that 8th phrase where it kind of darkens up again. Again, at 96. Here. Now I put my metronome to 64. I'm going to practice the ending first. Okay, retry. Practice all those 16th arpeggios just to make sure I got them down. Let's try that last phrase again. Pretty straightforward. I'm gonna play from the start to the key change. Yeah, it's basically the same material that's at the end, so. because I'm holding the tied note too long. So I'm going to try phrase 4 and 5 again. Holding the tie too long, I'm gonna try those 2 phrases again just to get the emotion right. And also with that tied note, I'm gonna try and like cut it off a bit sooner. I don't want to like cut it off, but I want it to be a little bit separated from the arpeggios that come up after it. I feel like it'll give the articulation more clarity. Are like a little bit more reassuring than sad, so the clarity and articulation helps with the expression of that character. So I'm gonna turn off my metronome and I'm gonna try the whole study. Yeah, I don't want to play it with the metronome because it changes time signatures and tempos. study in one go. These Kohler studies are pretty easy. I would recommend them for beginners and intermediate students. I'm like intermediate to advanced, so these are a little bit too easy for me. So when I was still in school, my flute teacher and I had a deal where I would bring 2 or 3 of these studies to every lesson. If you find these studies are a bit too easy for you, maybe try learning more than 1 per week. My last little mock performance for you was really good, but I could practice this for the rest of the week and be a little bit more solid with the notes so that I don't have to stop and restart during a performance. I definitely recommend these Kohler Etudes. He also has a different book. It has scales and arpeggios, a study, and then a duet. If you have a flute teacher, I really recommend those Kohler Etudes. I'll put both books in the description so you guys can access it. Yeah, but the romantic etudes are great, and then also the other set. I guess I'll see you guys next week. Thank you for practicing with me today. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, and if you don't think anything, you can just leave a green emoji. Go practice!